Hey everybody, it's your general on Friday. Ollie is not going to be opening this because I had some kind of virus this past week, and you can probably hear it in my voice. I am not up to performing levels. Neither is Ollie, apparently. But yeah, we filmed this a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to do a major edit on it, but I just thought it was a really good conversation with me and Brendan and Ian. It was meant for a Burt Marshwiggle. Technically, this is still a Burt Marshwiggle. It's just not going to have all the frills and thrills that I usually am able to put in. Like I said, still recovering. A lot better. Thank you for those who did pray for me in the brood, who helped keep things going. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Just enjoy this conversation. I thought it was great. Definitely what Burnt Marshwiggle should be about. Um, I think that's it.
Hello, Ian.
Hello, Brendan.
I don't know why I greeted Craig before I greeted you.
Hello,
Probably
darkness,
because
my old friend.
probably because I was like, I must agree to the robot to make sure it doesn't zap my ears out or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're vindictive little things.
It's Craig is more real than I am at this point.
Nope, that is incorrect.
I'm with Brendan. Oh boy. Let's see. Every
So
time
if
I think
either of you,
No, go ahead, Ian.
I know Joshua has. Brendan, have you ever watched Looney Tunes?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I have seen Looney Tunes. Watched implies I've seen the entire thing. I have not.
I haven't seen the entire thing either. I heard an interesting fact today. The song that Michigan J. Frog sings in Looney Tunes, "Hello, my honey, hello, my baby,"
Yep.
Yeah.
that was actually written in 1896,
Yes, it was.
and it was mocking people who say hello.
Yes, it was. Because the word hello was new in the English vocabulary.
Yeah,
We're gonna make fun of the people who say hello for reasons.
Oh boy.
just like I make fun of people who say totally sus or
Right.
skibbity whatever.
Skibby Riz. I like using sus ironically, right? Like if like in a sort of I'm making fun of the fact that this is suspicious, which is what sus is short for.
Right.
But yeah, I do not use it in normal parlance.
Let's see. Did
Like
Daniel
the
say
10
something?
alphas.
Okay, Daniel said he can't make it tonight on text, so
Daniel says,
yep.
Daniel
So
says, money.
it'll be us three.
It's me. That's right.
And no more.
Do what?
I said us three and no more.
Us
For
three
now,
and
yeah. Unless someone makes a run in like Jesse or something. An uninvited run in. I need like theme songs like WWE style for people who do run ins. The music hits, they come in, the crowd cheers. Anyway. So Brendan, are you pretty much ready to cover your topic tonight?
No. Are you kidding me? I have no idea.
Are you ready to Cusco in the Emperor's New Groove style wing it?
We're going to I am ready to facilitate discussion.
Sounds good to me.
That's all I can do. So
I forgot what the topic was.
Let me know when you're ready to start it.
Well, we're gonna do swamp mail first, actually. No, we did not get an actual swamp mail. No, we did not. But just to get myself to remind myself to do it, and to make fun of our listeners for not sending it in, and guilt them into doing it, we're going to let the terrible AI have its way, and we can pick from 3 potential senders. Okay?
Oh,
It'll
no.
be a question.
Oh, no.
and we'll answer it. And then we'll say, now send in better questions, listeners, because we need you to send in better questions. So, who's it going to be? From Basil Toad Flop, Winifred Reed, or Cranky Jim?
Cranky Jim.
Cranky Jim.
We're gonna go with Cranky Jim.
I know a guy named Jim who's cranky. So
let's go with it. Okay. So this is from Cranky Jim in Muddy Boots Lower Bog. Right. So is anyone else going to write in, or am I the only one here? Maybe if you actually remember to mention the segment, you'd have more mail. Cranky Jim, Muddy Boots.
True story, Cranky Jim. True story.
Yes, indeed. And maybe we will start to remember more, or maybe it will go into the ether. But we need swamp mail, people. So I don't really care how you get it to me at this point. Just send me, or one of the guys, or whoever. There's a million ways to contact us. JoshuaDavidLing@gmail.com is direct to me. However you want to do it, send it in and say it's for Burnt Marshwiggle or Swamp Mail or whatever, and we'll answer it. Please. Or we'll get more Cranky Jim, and he'll get crankier, and who knows what will happen then. And now I will turn it over to Brendan for his facilitation of conversation, as he put it. Go right ahead, my friend.
So the topic that I said that this topic first emerged in a passing comment on the Alice in Wonderland episode. And the passing comment in question was, we need to talk about what we need to do to start enjoying mundane things again. That's the entirety of the comment, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was no discussion on it whatsoever. I don't even necessarily fully remember the context because I didn't have time today to go back and listen to the surrounding portion of the episode. But the upshot of the whole thing is that, like, we're there is a very real sense of that we can no longer enjoy. I say we can no longer enjoy. So we love stories. We love stories. That's sort of what our thing is. But one of the difficulties of stories is that by their very nature, they are an abnormality in the character's life. Let's just think, because otherwise, if it's just their regular day-to-day, we wouldn't really have a story exactly.
There is such a thing as slice of life, but usually they're still somewhat of an abnormality.
But there's usually still a little bit of an abnormality involved in that. Even romance stories where the characters are living their day-to-day life hinge around a character meeting another character and them falling in love, which is an abnormality in their story. Right? No matter how you cut it, a story is a sequence of events that is very much not part of their normal day-to-day. It's not part of their mundane thing. And so as people who love stories, and as people who think a lot about stories, partly from a slightly heady academic point of view, but also partly as we love to consume and emulate people and things that are a part of our stories, we never really have a model for which we can have for what is normal. In a sense, right? This is sort of a long and roundabout way of saying that we have no model for our own everyday, day-to-day life. Now, before you at me, Joshua, yes, I know we have the Bible. I'm not talking about that.
I'm aware. The Bible's nonfiction. I got you. Yeah. Mostly. Yeah.
The other thing, though, is even in the Bible, if you look at biblical stories, yes, they are models. Yes, they are characters who we're supposed to go after. But we remember the quintessential example is we remember Moses because Moses had a whole bunch of upside down moments.
Yep.
We glossed over the however many hundreds, if not thousands, of of Israelites who died under slavery post Joseph.
Yeah.
Right? We don't know what their story was. We don't know what their day-to-day life was. We assume that they probably didn't follow God's law because that's the story of humanity. But, like, even if we have the model as dictated in laws and in things, we don't have your average Israelite peasant number 469, right? We don't have that.
Yeah, the thing you're getting at is like law versus love, right? The love of the life that God has given you in all its moments. And that's the other thing. Like, who are we to say what is adventure and what is abnormal in our lives? That's the other thing, right? Like, yes, there's a certain amount of peril, but for someone who embraces adventure, mundanity can be the hardest task. And while it might not make a great story, that can be your adventure in mundanity too. So I guess what I'm saying is just love, and I'm not going against you in any kind of way. I think you're right. I just think that the laws don't cover it, like you're saying. I'm yes-anding you. The laws don't cover it in this way because what you're getting at more is how do we learn to love something that is mundane, not just do it, but how do we actually learn to love it? Yeah,
correct. That is ultimately where we end up. It's like I'm taking the long roundabout way of getting there, but that is functionally how do we get enjoyment out of mundane daily day-to-day tasks. Something that I think from my few interactions with Ian, he has developed quite a bit of skill in. You farm worms, dude. And you end most of your broadcasts with "I must go and do my nightly prayers." Right now, I phrase that like, "Oh, you're weird," or whatever. You are kind of weird. Let's be honest. Maybe not necessarily for nightly prayers in this group, but America at large and global North Christianity at large does not have a sufficiently strong view of prayer. That's a different topic for another time. The thing is that, like, especially within I'm going to call it the sort of Moscow crowd. It's not them specifically, but the more Reformed Christians, the more post-mill Christians, the ones who are like, let's go and get it, let's go win, let's go do stuff, rah, rah, kind of people.
Yeah.
There is more of a tendency, I think, to focus on the doing and more on the adventure story side of things. Now to be fair, there are those in that camp who are also very much for the, if you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. If you have kids, go baptize them. Go live your life, raise your children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. That is your calling, right? But that doesn't in any way, shape, or form negate the rhetoric that they are outputting.
Right.
Which it's a curse of the English language, but it's imprecise enough to sound like a rallying cry to adventure, even if the adventure is, as you say, Joshua, doing mundane stuff.
Right.
I say mundane. Raising a kid is not mundane. Anybody with a kid.
It's domestic, but it's not mundane. Yeah.
It's domestic, but it's not mundane. So how do we learn functionally? The question is, as you put the nail on the head, how do we learn to love weeding gardens? How do we learn to love calling the HVAC guy to get your AC fixed again because it didn't work the first time? I'm not bitter. I'm not going to have to do that because we have ice build up around our AC unit again. Yeah.
Considering taking HVAC as a vocation, anyway.
Yeah. How do we learn to enjoy being a retail associate?
Right. Well, the question is also, I think the first thing we have to ask is, are we supposed to love this? If it's providence, yeah, you're in that situation. You should love what God has given you. I'm there with you on that. I think that, with any, and Ian, chime in whenever you want. With anything
I'm
that
going to chime in
go
as
ahead.
soon as you're done.
Okay, yeah. With anything we're given by God, the tendency is to look at it and question it, right? I think that in heaven we won't be questioning whatever it is, the work God gives us to do, because we will be working in heaven. I think that's clear as far as scripture goes. We will be resting, but we will also be working, and it will be perfect work and perfect rest. But I don't think we'll have the ability to question it. There are times where I think God is giving us something we don't like in order to question it. And there are times that God gives us something we don't like in order to teach us how to love it. And I don't think I think discerning that is probably the biggest thing between the two, one way or the other. It doesn't mean, I know which is which in anyone else's life or even in mine, depending on the circumstance. But this is where we pray for wisdom, right? Pray for wisdom and discernment, and then to change our emotions about the situation. I think if we're not loving the thing that we're supposed to love, it should drive us to our knees. Ian, go ahead.
So the question if I'm understanding it right, the question is, what is mundanity? And how are we supposed to love it?
Mm-hmm.
So mundanity can be different things for different people. I don't really have an answer for that. It's just the things that you do every day that are not grand or extraordinary. I had a friend that I knew from Twitter, and I was just talking to her one day, and I said, I just feel like my life is boring, and it's the same thing every day, and I haven't done anything with my life. I feel like I've wasted my life. And she said, Ian, life is not Conan the Barbarian. There are times when you just have to go live your life and do what's right in front of you, was the gist of what she said. I don't remember exactly the content of her message, but it was, I remember that life is not Conan the Barbarian part. You're not meant to be on a never-ending adventure,
right,
in this life anyway. But
I'm honestly...
Go on.
All I was going to say is I'm just honestly impressed that you have a friend from Twitter.
I have a lot of friends from Twitter. I have so many wonderful people that I've met on Twitter. So many awful, horrible, depraved human beings I've met on Twitter. Nothing else will convince you of the doctrine of total depravity. Twitter will do it.
It is true. It is true.
Anyway, so as far as enjoying the mundane, in order to truly enjoy the mundane, it takes two things. Number one, you have to accept it. And by that, I mean become familiar with it. Just get up, do the same thing every day that you have to do it. And eventually, you kind of learn to accept it. And then after a while, you learn to love it. Like, I didn't love doing morning and evening prayers every single day. I didn't love getting up at 6 a.m. to read my Bible and pray and sing hymns and whatever else is involved with my morning prayer routine. But I did it because that's what God asked me to do, and I learned to love it after a while. So it comes through familiarity. Brendan, how long have you been married?
Sorry, excuse me while I cough. I have been married since 2022.
All right. So you think you love your wife more than you did when you were first married?
I mean, the correct answer is yes.
Not
it's hard
less.
because, like, I mean, it's hard because, yeah. It's definitely not less.
Right.
Obviously, as you grow with
Yeah.
things, you find, as you grow with someone, you find things that annoy you about them. But that's, I know that she's grown annoyed with things about me, and like, I might have loved her more now than I did at the beginning, but it's not. But I can't tell because we're still in our honeymoon phase.
You're in the thick of it, yeah.
We're in the thick of it, and
Right.
I think I'm going to need a few more years. Excuse me. I'm going to need a few more years under my belt before I can say, with not just with certainty, but be able to actually see it, right? Because I know that I love her more now than I did before. I know that.
You just haven't
I just don't
quantified it yet.
I can't. Yeah, it's not in a way that I can like quantify at this point because I don't have enough.
But you love her differently than you did before. Okay.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm getting at. You learn to love the routine of things, but it changes as you do them. Like, that's one of the things that I love about karate is it just, and martial arts in general. You go out, you do your forms, and it's the same thing every time. And they might change parts of it as you grow into karate, and they'll say, well, you're doing the stance this way and it should be done this way, or you're throwing your fist at the wrong point. You might make little tweaks to it, but in general it's the same thing every time. And at first you hate it, and then as you do it, you learn to like it, and then you learn to love it. So the first step is familiarity. Well, the first step is acceptance, and then the second step is familiarity. So, the third step, I think, is romanticizing it. You take your routine and you make it into an adventure. I'm not going out to pull weeds. I'm going out to slay the green beast, which has plagued our lands. I'm not going out to just pick vegetables. I'm going out to bring in the great harvest which our Lord has delivered to us,
right,
and celebrate the fact that He has delivered me from the mouths of the pests. So I'm not just okay. Yeah, feeding earthworms is just feeding earthworms. You can't romanticize that.
Why not? They're living creatures.
I don't know.
They're God's creation.
Yeah, well, actually, no, that's not true. Because sometimes when I go down to feed the worms, I say I go down to feed the crawlers beneath.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
So after a while, you do start to romanticize things. Like, um, Brendan, in your job as a retail clerk, you're just doing retail stuff. You work at what? You work at Hobby Lobby, right?
I work at Hobby Lobby, yeah.
Okay. So there you have like side quests and things that you have to do for Hobby Lobby. You can
Yeah.
romanticize it a little bit.
Sure.
You can go too far with it and make it weird. But yeah, you can romanticize it. And this is one of the things that Brendan mentioned, the Moscow crowd and the like really post-mill reform crowd. One of the things that I really appreciate about Lutherans in particular is that they've really done well with this embracing the mundane. They don't really want to conquer the world or anything like that. They don't want some kind of big adventure. They want to feed their chickens and feed their families and help their neighbor and be generally left alone by the government and other people.
Well, it depends on the Lutherans, but yeah.
Just have a quiet pint alone and not bother with adventures or anything. They're sort of like hobbits. Now you run into that in Anglicanism as well. I was actually talking with one of my friends from Twitter who is an Anglican priest, and I said, once again, I was kind of feeling like I wasted my life. And he said, "What do you mean? You have loved God with all your heart and soul, right?" I said, "I tried." He said, "You've accomplished more than most, and what you're looking for is an ultimate destination, a monastery. But it's going to be more like a pilgrimage, just putting one foot in front of the other and finding your place in the world. And you may never find it." And I don't remember where I was going with that sentence, but anyway,
you might not find
well,
it on Earth, but in the next life, if you have been faithful and
yeah,
pressed on, And as far as that goes, we're to make this place as best as we can a better place than where we left it for our progeny and for the people who we've been with. So there is that.
Oh, certainly.
But yes, there's an overemphasis on that for some people. Yeah.
I'm not saying that we should be completely disengaged from public affairs, but I am saying that we should be detached from it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I
have something I've been holding on to for a while, if you want to hear this.
Okay.
About mundanity specifically. I know you guys know the Webster's 1828 dictionary. Just for the sake of it, I looked up the word mundane. Of course, it's going to be different slightly because, English changes, blah, blah, blah. But Latin, mundanus, from mundus, the world, belonging to the world, as mundane, sphere, mundane space. So it actually is a word. The actual original meaning, going back to the Latin, is worldly, which is interesting. And the scripture is clear that, not entirely, and I'm not going 100% with this, but there is a certain aspect of mundanity being the world dragging you down, right? The world, Satan, and sin dragging you down. That's not the only thing, and our word has taken on a new emphasis that talks about the regular domestic parts of life, right? The regular, ordinary, domestic parts of life. I think that's more of what we're talking about here than the other. But there is an aspect that if there is a discomfort in those ordinary things and not a love, there could be a problem going back to discernment, et cetera, et cetera. But I was just bringing that up for cool rhetorical and anecdotal definitional nonsense. You can continue.
Yeah. I feel like when I'm saying mundane, I'm talking about the whole peaceful and quiet life, because I know that before the people at me, I know that the peaceful and quiet life is saying that it's having to do with government, and the government can help let us live a peaceful and quiet life and stuff like that.
Right.
And so it's sort of a indictment of governmental authorities. However, the fact that it says that they might let us live a peaceful and quiet life indicates that to a certain degree we should be doing that.
Yeah, totally.
so that's what I'm sort of more talking about. I am talking about I use the word mundane. Okay, it's not precise. Welcome to the English language. Welcome to
I wasn't attacking that. Yeah.
I really like the romanticization thing that Ian talked about, because I'm working on a project, and that's sort of the entire thrust of it, is that when it comes to how do we enjoy it, I think that the romanticization has to kind of come early. But the way I did it, rather than, oh, you're doing this quest, or oh, you're doing that, which is just trying to turn something that is domestic and make it into an adventure. I went sort of a different route of let's imagine or use our imagination to find people or places that we that just bring us peace and really enjoy things. And I said side character in this case. So I was thinking Tom Bombadil.
Mm-hmm.
Be a Tom Bombadil for someone else. The idea being you are a safe haven for them, but it's their story, not yours.
Right.
You are just a stop along the way. Let that be content with being the stop along the way for that other person. Be present with other people. And functionally, I'm just talking about humility. I'm not saying anything new here. I'm just saying let's use our imagination, which is kind of what the romanticization is. Use our imagination to drive us to emulate things that we like. The other example that I use is is for spaces. Craft your space to facilitate the emotional. I say emotional, but it's all of you, the emotional and mental state you desire to be in. So for me, I love Miyazaki. So I would want to try to craft my space, my house, to have traits that are in the peaceful moments of Miyazaki films. Usually that includes plants, because he's a Shintoist. Of course they do. It includes wood. It includes books. It includes old. It includes inefficient technology. Not 5 things in one. There is a tea kettle and a water boiler that are 2 separate things, and it takes time to make the tea, and there is a stone oven. It's not an instant pot or whatever. Now, I'm not saying that we can't use instant pot, because if I said that, I would be a liar. I use an instant pot and I use an air fryer. Fight me. I have a 2-year-old. He likes chicken nuggets. Okay, we're going to give him chicken nuggets. That will help him eat.
There is something wonderfully ordinary and domestic about chicken nuggets. Continue.
There is something. Yeah, exactly. So that's that's sort of the upshot of what I'm trying to say on that. I say that's the upshot. Yeah. The imagination and the romanticization, I think, is yes, you have to accept it, but I think that the romanticization and the imagination can help with that. I don't think it necessarily has to be step 3. I know you weren't necessarily saying chronologically, this is what you got to do, right? But I think that we need to realize that our imaginations as artists are powerful things, and so if we want to enjoy the mundane, we need to agree. I agree. We need to accept it for what it is, and to Joshua's point, we do need to have discernment. That perhaps Perhaps we are Gideon, and God is trying to get us out of the pit that we're trying to thresh wheat in.
Right.
Right? That may be a thing. But let's be honest, not everyone's Paul, not everyone's Barnabas, not everyone's Moses. There are going to be a lot of Christians who die with no story, then still going to heaven. I say no story, with no grand epic level story.
Right.
I think still have a story.
Yeah, I think the one factor in that being faithful as a mundane character, as you kind of have said so far, would be the willingness to become the Paul and the Barnabas, but happily continuing to do the thing that they were made to do and learning to love it. Right. That's really the thing. Because if you don't have the willingness and you're not coming out like, Gideon out of etc., then that's a character flaw. Right. The other end is you're constantly pushing to become Paul. Right. And you end up like who's an example, and probably Saul. Right.
Simon the sorcerer.
Yeah. Either Saul technically would be in that category, I would say. And so I really do think that there's a ditch on either side there for sure. One of the things that really strikes me about
hold up. Ian wants to say something real quick.
Go ahead.
If we're going back to biblical themes, I think that David would have been perfectly happy just staying out in the field with his sheep and not engaging in politics or anything. But once he heard Goliath mocking God, he said, well, somebody's got to put a stop to this.
Yep.
So sometimes the mundane, the ordinary people have to get up and do something extraordinary. Now, that being said, David was far from ordinary as an individual, because he was
anointed by Samuel.
Yes, he was anointed by Samuel, but we talk about how he killed Goliath and how that was such a miracle. Well, he's talking about killing wild animals with nothing but a sling and a knife.
Yep.
Like that's Tarzan material, right?
Oh yeah,
absolutely. That is, he was, and I maintain that David was probably the closest thing in real life to Conan the Barbarian, because he was so strong and such a skilled warrior. Like this was not. He wasn't some skinny youth like we see in the Bible illustrations. David was ripped, probably.
Yep.
So he was far from an ordinary individual, but he was a shepherd. He was a working man. He was blue collar.
Yeah. Well, he was also learned enough to make music. That was the other half. He was both. One of the things about the sort of the tangent you went into, Brendan, on things that have different purpose, and the sort of and I'm not saying this in any kind of derogatory way, soft Ludditism. One of the things that I think that is generally speaking, a symptom of a much bigger problem, and that is simply that when I say rich blessings on a nation rarely come without a curse. So when I'm saying rich blessings in a broad sense of like nations and the world gaining vast new technologies of all different sorts over a very short period of time, the upheaval that it causes is part of a curse aspect as well, right? Anything good coming into the world inevitably in a cursed world is going to cause some amount of whiplash and backlash and everything else, right? And so I don't think it's a wrong thing to want to appreciate things before they're gone. I think that's really a big thing that a lot of people are feeling. This is why a lot of people, for probably 2 generations now have had a very strong nostalgia for the 80s and 90s, for example. And the things that we've lost, a lot of brick and mortar stores with the internet, things of that nature. And those were good things. And I think that part of our job, regardless of whether we're good at or bad at or somewhere in between or just feel one way or the other about any of these things, if we're doing our job, we should be archiving and telling the stories of all the good things so that they can eventually come back in some way, shape, or form if they ever do in fact leave us. And I think that the new should be embracing and archiving the old. And if it's not, then it's not a worthy upgrade, if that makes sense. So I'm with you on enjoying those things.
Current theory about what's going on right now in the culture and society is that we are actually currently at the beginning of the second Middle Ages. Like, there's this sort of loss of, we're so technologically advanced, but we keep forgetting simple things. And there's like this loss of culture, loss of knowledge about how the technology actually works. There's fewer and fewer people that know how to make stuff anymore. And it's like, I'm not saying that everybody has to go and go to technical school. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that if you lose this stuff, society is going to crumble, period.
Right.
And there are more and more people out there that are functionally illiterate. As many as there were at the beginning of the Dark Ages. But we call them the Dark Ages, but they were actually a time of great cultural renewal as well.
Yep.
So
the Dark Ages weren't very dark.
Right.
No, they weren't. That's because monks and people like that were copying down ancient manuscripts so that they wouldn't be lost.
Yep.
And they were still making beautiful things. They just weren't the same as the beautiful things that they made during the height of the Roman Empire. People were still trying to carve out a life for themselves and rebuild society. And I think that's going to be our task for this next dark age, quote unquote. Is just, as Joshua said, preserving the good from the previous age.
Yep. And figuring out where it fits in the new. That's not just the new that they're creating, right? And the people who are bringing in these technologies and actually innovating and inventing, whether they're on our side or not. Not even talking about that, but bringing the old to the new and saying, "Hey, let's integrate this," and saying to the new, "Let's do this in such a way that it honors the old," right?
Yes. Oh yes.
So yeah. Let's see. We've been going for. I've been recording for about 48 minutes. It could be a short one if you guys want, or we can continue. What do you guys have?
Well, I mean, I don't want to start the whole "I'm not a Luddite, but" fight. Although I think it is actually somewhat permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that is like, I mentioned before in the video essay that I said this line properly translated, but in the video essay that I'm working on, or the project I'm working on, which you now know it's a video essay, I say that one of the things I make a point to say is that this isn't anything new. I'm just doing reflavored humility. That's all I'm doing, is I'm just trying to not bring back humility, but I'm trying to use our imagination to to
Understand humility.
not even understand, create a way of romanticizing so that we might actually do it for its sake, rather than, or like, so that we would value the so that we would value humility, right? That's what I'm functionally trying to say. But I think that there are a number of other, if we wanted to really dig into this, we could say this. I think that there's a great deal of other virtues that are lost. And in the loss of those virtues, we are trying to replace them with something else. And that is why we have, that's why we have such a great deal of technocracy and technophilia and tech, related things. So this is a stupid example. Please know that I think this is a dumb example, but it's the only one I can think of to illustrate the Keurig.
Okay, yeah.
The Keurig exists because people are impatient.
And they don't want the mess of cowboy coffee.
And they don't want the mess of cowboy coffee or strain coffee, or there is and not only are they, but they are willing to sacrifice quality.
Yeah.
For speed and convenience.
Yeah.
Right? That's all. It's a bad example.
Yeah.
But that is an example of what I'm saying.
Definitely.
When we talk about this with art all the time about how people don't appreciate beauty. Please stop cutting me out, Discord. How people don't appreciate beauty, and how we need to teach them to reappreciate beauty. With tech being so much more faster, efficiency, utility, convenience, like, we are all okay with convenience. Christians are okay with convenience. Mm-hmm. Work is good, drudgery is bad. That's why you invent the ox plow, to remove the drudgery from the work so that you can still do the work well, right? I'm okay with removing drudgery. We're all right with that. But at what point does the removing drudgery turn to a vice? Because you're no longer removing drudgery, you're just removing time. Right.
One of the things that that I, have come to grips with in rehiring Ian to do some stuff for me, and doing less of the AI art. I still do some because I think that it's important in what I'm doing to have images in certain segments that I cannot wait for in order to keep pace with competition. As well as, I don't think that a simple image for a thumbnail, for example, needs Leonardo da Vinci. Let's just be real, right? It does not necessitate Leonardo da Vinci, but in this, the trying, because of a moral failure in myself in pursuing innovation in recent years, I have sought back to the virtue, and this is, like I said, not patting myself on the back, admitted moral failure in some sense. I think that learning the tool was important so that I can make the thumbnails better, right? The little incidental thumbnails. And it's important for me to realize where I need something better than my thumbnail tool. And this is a discernment thing that you get through either what you really have to understand and look at and try both ends of the spectrum to a certain extent. And I think that there's a lot of people on both sides of this, the innovative utilitarians and the romantic Luddites, who are not trying the other side at all for fear that they could be wrong. And I'm saying
Sure.
there's a discernment that and a wisdom that is required to know whether this needs Leonardo da Vinci or whether this needs the cheapest, quickest AI you can possibly imagine. You know? And if we don't have that, and the other part is resources that has to be taken into account. I'm not going to go into a whole thing about that, but resources do need to be taken into account.
Yeah.
But the other factor overall is just we need to be praying so much more for wisdom than we already are in every respect if we're going to have any a full idea of how to appreciate the mundanity, much less come out of it with a love for the thing God made us to do in the domestics or in the adventure.
I just want to point out that historically speaking, my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, spends 4 to 6 hours in prayer before 8 a.m. He's a Sierra Leonean Christian. They're on another level. So when you say pray more for wisdom than we already are, we don't pray for wisdom, Joshua. Our prayer life is anemic.
Well, the other
Except
thing is
for-
don't heap up prayers like the Gentile, heap up many words like the Gentiles do, not saying that's what he does, but that has to be balanced too. Ian, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I pray for wisdom every flipping day.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you do. We're not talking about you, Ian. We already mentioned that you are the exception, Mr. Worm Farmer. Oh man.
Brendan likes to use
Ian,
hyperbole too.
because yeah, there's that. I use hyperbole. Also, I like teasing Ian because he and I are the same person, but one is bald and the other likes anime.
I'm learning to like anime actually.
Oh, good. Good. So that explains why I'm going bald. All right.
Maybe I'll get some hair back then.
Wow.
That'd be
There you
nice.
Get some luscious
We are-
locks and we
we
can
are
dye
blessed.
them red, right? That's an inside joke from the Brood. Anyway.
And he has to sing pop songs while cutting down trees with an axe.
Would rather die.
Pink
but,
Pony Club. I'm gonna keep on. Anyway,
We are the worst podcast. We are actually the worst
best
podcast. Joshua, get us out of here.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, guys. Remember, first of all, send in swamp mail. We don't want Cranky Jim on us again, although we might have him if y'all send in something stupid. So, the incentive to send in something stupid, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, everybody be your family's bard. Do not turn to the right or to the left, and the Lord will be with you wherever you go. We'll see you next time in the trenches on Poets at War.